Hey everybody, how we doing today? So today is the last day of the high winds, so hopefully tomorrow I can start getting out and do some fishing. But in the meantime, I'm kind of actually stuck here because I'm waiting for UPS to deliver a couple of cases of my silver flake and gold flake paddle tails, so I'll finally have those in stock. I think I've got about 1,500 of them coming, so that should last a little while at least. But in the meantime, I can spend some time working on a project that I want to get knocked off here pretty quick. So let you check it out. So today's project is going to involve replacing these with these. So what we're working with is I've got the original 10-inch Hobie plastic swim baits that I regularly use for artificial fishing for tarpon. You'll see me use them all the time, either the white or the black. But what I'm looking for is a artificial that better mimics the mullet that these tarpon are feeding on, something with a little bit of a bigger profile than the Hobie, and that's where I came up with these. The manufacturer that I'm getting the 4-inch plastic paddle tails, the gold and the silver ones that I'm selling on the website, actually have these 9-inchers. And I saw these and I'm like, ooh, that looks more representative of an actual mullet versus the Hobie. So today what we're going to work on is trying to rig up a hook system that'll work with these large paddle tails. The Hobies have a great design. They're a smaller, definitely a smaller profile, but they also have this notched out section for where the hook can go through. So the hook only really needs to penetrate maybe a 1/2 inch of the actual plastic to fully engage that hook, where these plastic swim baits are all totally solid on the bottom. So I need to kind of figure out a way to rig up a good quality hook system that will manage a 100-pound tarpon. So that's what we're going to be working on next. So the plan of attack is I basically have 4 different styles of hookups that I want to try. Well, actually 3 that I'm going to try. But the way the Hobies work is they use this standard hook, long shank hook with the bend in it like a worm hook, and then it utilizes the spring keeper that actually goes into the nose of the bait. And then they've got the channel built into the Hobie, so it's actually that very short 1/2 inch maybe of plastic it needs to penetrate. So that'll poke through. I've got that weedless, and then that'll end up being where the bite is. But because of the plastic swim bait does not have that channel, I'm still going to try it. See if it's possible to rig it. I'm not sure. My thoughts were is that I could slice the belly of this from basically that, more I'm looking at, it's probably not going to work, from the black down, cut an insert slot all the way through there so that the hook can come all the way out there. But now that I'm looking at it, when I insert this twisty on there, it's going to be at this weird funky angle. Because if I go straight like the way it should be, I guess it'll pop out. It'll sit there. Well, I'll play with one and see how it fits, but that's basically the result. This has to be totally open so that hook can be pushed all the way up there and penetrate the tarpon mouth. That one's going to be kind of sketchy. The one I'm definitely not trying, but I would have, but is a standard jig head. Now the issue is because this is so big, I need something in the range of probably a 12-aught hook, wide gap hook. They make a large jig head for these large paddle tails and swim baits. It's just they tend to be made for bottom jigging. So you'll find them with 3, 6, 8, 12-ounce heads on them with that right size hook. And I'm trying to use it for top water. So it's just not very functional. Even 3 ounces, including the weight of the plastic, chunking out there, it'll be tough throwing it a lot. And then again, I want it to swim along the top like a mullet is. So that's kind of probably not going to happen. The second way that I'm thinking about doing it is similar to this, except that I'm going to rig it through the nose using the spring clip, the same style of spring clip there, the twist on, lock on. Twist that onto the nose, and then that clip is going to be hooked onto the actual hook there, and that's where it's going to sit like that, the hook exposed to the front nose of it. Only challenge is trying to keep that paddle tail swimming upright and then side to side like it's supposed to, with that paddle tail just kind of flickering. It can't be rolling on its side and turning over or spinning or anything like that. So that one's easy to make, but I just got to see if I can get it to work correctly. And then the last way, which is a good possibility, is I just got a long shank O'Shaughnessy style hook, and I'm just going to rig it just like if it was a jig, and then just run it through the nose there and just sit it like that. But same issue with the spring clip there is how it's going to swim with no weight at all. So we'll have to test that out. The other thing I might do is to wrap the hook in thread and then super glue it when I do the final insert there. And then we'll have to test that out. So I'm going to assemble these the best I can, and then depending on UPS, try to get out to some water and throw it a couple times and see what works best in regards to presentation. All right, we've got our 3 prototypes set up. The first one is basically just using that 9/0 long shank O'Shaughnessy hook there. Just so that it holds on there, I wrapped about almost an inch long of thread around the shank, super glued it, ran the hook through, got it centered, and before I inserted the head all the way up, I put more super glue along the threads there and then pushed it on there, so hopefully that'll hold. The next one is using the screw-on clips, and so I screwed that on, pinched onto this hook, and that's got a lot of play to it, so hopefully this swims straight, then we'll be good, but we'll have to find out. Tarpon inhale these things, so it's not like other fish where they'll nibble at a section. They basically vacuum in their food, so when they inhale it, they'll take this no problem. I use mullet that are this big for bait, so this is on the small side. And then I did some surgery on this one by basically gutting it out all the way up to probably maybe 1/3 of an inch from cutting all the way through, and then all the way up through the head that the same way, so that I could get this Hobie swim bait hook in there. So it's flayed just like a fish there. And then it's pretty much weedless the way it sits, but it's got this weird angle because the head is so thick. But if the fish bites, it gets a decent amount of penetration on it. Just got to catch that tip there and sponge it down. I would like a lot more of a hook gap, but it's just kind of a weird angle. But that one is set up as well. So our 3 prototypes are set up, so still waiting for UPS, and then I'm going to take these out and chuck them a few times and see what happens. Well, the soft plastics are here. Bam! Silver and gold. So I'll have those packaged and on the site by tonight. But right now I'm going fishing. Wow, I haven't seen it this low in a long time. That's a really low tide. And the tide is still outgoing, so it's getting even lower. Wow, this is different. All right, I'm all stakeout pole anchored here on this edge, kind of out of the wind, so I got a nice little pocket here. Bunch of glass minnows wedged in here. So let's test out some of these baits. Well, this one, which is just the 9/0 hook, O'Shaughnessy hook, wrapped, glued, stuck in there, was my favorite bait until on the way out I just stuck in the water, and I instantly found out what the design problem of this one is. So if you look at the profile, you'll see it goes into like a V shape. So you have more plastic on top, so it's going to be heavier. Then you have the hook, which is sitting on the top, which is going to give it even more weight. So guess which way this thing swims? Yep, upside down. A little bit of a design flaw, but that's what today is for. It swims beautifully, but it just happens to swim upside down because you got more plastic and you have the hook on the bottom. So I still like this setup. So what I think I'm going to do is run a rod through the center here and either put like a steel rod or something so I could try to counterweight it just so I can get it right side up. But yeah, we could throw it a couple times and you can kind of take a look at what it does. But upside down, perfect walk. And I actually think this will actually work out fine even though it's upside down. But in general, the fish aren't going to know. They're just going to like, ooh, tasty, and eat that sucker. So play with the little casting here. I also need to figure out the longevity of how many casts they can take if they get smacked on, if they're going to pull out that hook right away, because I'm not going to be able to carry super glue and thread with me at all times. So definitely want to walk it slow. Even that was a bit of a too, oh, good, ouch. Do not eat the tails off these baits. That was a big old barracuda there. That's my other worry about throwing this thing. Well, it definitely attracts them, but man, I'm going to lose his tails and I am going to be so pissed off. Maybe I should throw this on the flats, because those cooters are going to whack this thing. Look at that, it's a perfect walk. It just happens to be upside down, but like I said, I don't think it, well, definitely at nighttime it's not going to make a difference, but as soon as I get that flipped over, that thing is beautiful. All right, next bait. Okay, for our second rig, this is the one that where we use that corkscrew keeper that just goes into the bait and then it's clipped onto the hook. This is 8/0, just like a live bait style hook. And that is the way we're gonna run it there. Let's see how this guy swims. Oh yeah, oh, twist, upside down, no? If I get the right speed. Yeah, that slow walk is nice. So if I go speed, just like that, I gotta kinda, if I go too slow, it doesn't look like it. Well, as soon as it starts, oh, that's nice. Oh, then it rolls, that's not good. But then it rights itself up, so that's not too bad. So speed, oh, then it does a bit of a spin if I go too fast. That's not too bad. Let's see how this casts. One of my nightmares is that that pin is going to open up. Oh, please don't be barracudas. Is that pin is going to open up, or it's going to slip off that hook. So I'm going fast enough to keep it down. We seem to be somewhat right side up. No, it's a little bit on its side. So I got to slow it down a bit. Yeah, slow it down. That's perfect, just like that. So what I have to change is I'm kind of used to throwing that Hobie where you actually need to put a little bit of action on it. You need to put a little bit of speed on it to get it to pop and swivel. If you go slow, it just goes straight and there's no action to it. Where this one, because it's got the paddle tail, I don't want to put any action, or I could, but I really don't need to put any action, and just a slow, constant retrieve, and that paddle does all the work. So whoops. So I think that, yeah, that's got a lot of action on that tail. And in general, staying right side up, it flips over. It's got that bit of a wounded mullet, like it just got whacked on the side of the head by the front of my kayak, so it kind of matches the way it's supposed to be. Try to stay away from those barracudas. Let's see, speed wise. Ooh, it's not rolling. It's on its side though. Ooh, that doesn't look too bad. It seems to wobble like that, but that's not horrible. It's not spinning. If it spins, that would be the biggest problem. Ooh, it's got that tail whacking. Oh, I could do that. Top water too. Look at that. Ah, this is not bad. This is a very good option. I like that option. But if I keep it down, that's just right on the surface. Not putting a lot of speed on it. I can see it, it's not rolling, but it is kind of leaning on its side. If I go real slow. Yeah, if I go real slow, it doesn't wobble at all. It stays pretty much right side up. It starts sinking though, but that's fine. Yeah, this is a nice setup there. That is nice. God, I keep wanting to throw it out there, but that stinking barracuda. I better stick with the shoreline here. Oh, would not. Great. All right, let me get this out. Yeah, all right, we'll do one long toss. Give it a pop. Oh, something went after it. Dang it. Don't eat it. Don't eat that tail. That's why I don't like to throw soft plastics a lot, unless I'm using my 4-inch ones because they're cheap. I don't mind losing those. I lose one of these, that's not good. Be unhappy. Yeah, that's perfect right there. It's staying right side up. Oh yeah, that is nice. Look at that baby, perfect. All right, so that's an A. Definitely like that rig. All right, let's go to the third one. Okay, our third and last one is using the Hobie swim bait hook. Basically the hook setup that I use with those 10-inch Hobie swim baits. It's also got the corkscrew lock in there that goes into the head. This is the one I basically filleted out or gutted the lure so that I can get some penetration from that hook. And when the bite hits, it's got a little bit, not as much as I'd like, but you never know. But it does set up very nicely, weedlessly. Let's do our initial. Yeah, that does okay there. Yeah, that's naturally sitting right side up. Well, when I gotta keep constant. No, flipping upside down. Rolls. Ah, there's a tarpon. So if it starts off right, it seems to hold that position right. Maybe it's the knot that's doing that. Or the angle of the hook or the line. So I'm wondering if that knot is affecting it. All right, let's cast it a few times. Let's see how it, well, let me cast down this way. Let's do a very slow roll here. It's sitting on its top, rolling on its side, back on top, a little bit on its side, rolling, spinning a bit. Yeah, it's spinning a little bit. It's doing a slow roll, which is not horrible, but not good either. Let me see if I put a little bit more speed on it. Looks like it's upside down. No, that side's right side up. Upside down, slow rolling. Yeah, that's not very controllable, but I know how to fix this one very easily. Man, I could feel that paddle tail working. Thud, 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 thud. But it's doing a real slow roll, 360 roll. That's probably the worst that can happen. Let me try it with a little bit of speed. If it just speeds up the, wow, that thing is pushing water. No, it's on its side a bit, but it's not spinning. It's got a lot of movement that way. That's staying. It's a little bit, it's not straight up and down. Upside down. Oh, what happened there? Alright, let me fix this. They all seem to be casting fine, so I can get some distance. I'm not even really chucking them that hard. I'll need to put some, quite a few casts into them to check to see the, how long they'll last before they start slipping off that hook. That's another factor. Still winding a bit fast. I need to remind myself to slow down. Yeah, see, it's upside down a bit. All right, so I know this one. This one's got problems, but it's a easy fix. But still, I'm not too big on it because of having to split this in order to get it to work. But all I have to do is get the same hook, but that has the weighted on it. Or I could add weights to these existing ones, but they sell it with the weights already on there. I don't know how many ounces, but it wouldn't take much, and then this thing will sit perfectly. So I don't like having to split it, although it's not a big deal. Just a razor blade and carefully slicing it down so you don't go too far. The angle is for the gap. Hook gap is not very big, especially for a tarpon, but I guess if you hit them just right, you'll be there, and then that'll angle up. It does sit weedless very nicely and easily. But yeah, it's a nice package there. I'll probably will pick up a pack with the weights on it just to try it out and see if that's an option, because some people might want to do that. But yeah, so not too bad. All right, so the knots that I'm using to test this on is, this is a loop knot that I'm using. It's also known as a cray loop knot. So that's just basically there. I always use a loop knot anytime I'm using artificials or live baits. The only time I don't is when I'm using dead baits. And then for the braid to leader connection, I'm using an FG knot. You see there? Just very tight wind, so I don't have to worry about it smacking the guides. I've got a extra long, that's why I'm getting those wind knots, because when I'm getting in a casting position, that knot is going onto the reel and then it's snagging up on the braid and causing those wind knots. Generally, I wouldn't need this much that much leader, but I'm tending to use long leaders right now because I'm also fishing the bobbers, so I need to have them a little bit longer. But otherwise, that is the setups we're testing. So now I think I'm going to go to one of my other setups and play with and see if we can maybe catch something, or until I lose a tail and get very angry. All right, let's switch to our fishing portion of the show. I've only got another hour or so. I only had to wait for that stupid UPS. It took all day. They didn't deliver it till like 5:45, so I made the run out here. But I got what I needed, which was to run those tests. This one is definitely my favorite. Running the corkscrew keeper and then clamping it onto a hook. So I think that's what I'm going to be throwing mainly. Not only is I think it swims the best, but it's also the cheapest. So this hook is nothing. You can actually, a lot of people utilize circle hooks with these, but for me, I have bite, I react. With circle hooks, you have to bite, count to 2 or 3, and then set the hook, and I'm not too good at that. So I like this style hook there, and because it's a quick hook set, it's not like I'm letting them swallow it like I do with the live baits. But yeah, that rig there, conditions wise, you can see that it's like a very, very low tide, and it's still outgoing, or we're maybe at slack tide now, finally. But very, very low tide. I haven't seen this low in a long time. The winds are finally dropping down a bit, so it's manageable, even though I'm kind of tucked behind the mangroves. I might go out a little bit farther or drift with the whatever current and just throw this thing around and see what happens. I've only seen that one roll over here. We had that little bit of a dip in temperatures last night. It got down into the low 70s. So anytime it's like that, the water pushing, being real low, kind of forces them out as well. So we'll just have to see what we can see. There must be a plethora of bait around, man. Look at all these pelicans. All that nervous water right there is some sort of, I don't even know what those are. They might be mullet, or see if I can scare them. I don't know if those are mullet or maybe, yeah, those are mullet. Because the water's getting so low that they can't even sit in those channels there. So this is all mullet there. Something's been busting on them over there as well. I have a feeling cudas. And there's glass minnows along this edge as well. So there's probably stuff lurking, so we'll see. Yeah, that's a bunch of mullet. That is actually perfect though. Whoa! Cuda! Don't eat my damn bait. Oh, don't do it. No! Whoa! Don't eat my bait, Cuda! Whoa! Gnarly! Yeah, definitely wrong hook style for a Cuda, because he's gonna take the back end off. Oh, don't take my bait. Don't eat it. Don't eat it. Oh yeah. This bait is going to whack the night tarpon. Will be the first thing I'm going to whack them with. But then second we'll be using them kind of on the flats. But I'm definitely going to, man, this is just all mullet everywhere. And it is gone. Ah, it didn't even bite the bait. My bait was way out there and I was bringing it through. Something whacked these mullet and it chopped my line in half. Look at that. God. I didn't just bite the bait. Got that line as well. All right, I could feel the stress building. Well, we have another problem is, since I was just gonna do testing on those things, I didn't bring my tackle boxes, so I have no leader. So I guess I gotta just tie it straight to the braid, and I guess it's not gonna make too much difference with the sun going down, but man, that's just not good. However, it's getting me kind of pumped up to come out here prepared for a night run. I didn't bring my flashlight either, so I can't stay out real late. But man, tons of mullet out here. So I'm gonna just do some sort of knot with just braid and run no leader. So I guess that's what we're gonna do. So since I don't have any leader, I just went with a 7-wrap uni knot, just direct braid. That is not recommended, but you gotta do what you gotta do. Low light conditions, water's kind of dirty, so I don't think it's gonna be that big of a difference. And this size of a bait, I think will be more of the focus than this line here, which is really not too visible out here. So, all right, bait number 2. I saw some tarpon busting up some schools of mullet along the edge here. So we will drift where the wind and current takes us, and I'm just gonna flick this one. This is the upside down one, but what you gonna do? I didn't bring any of the clips for the other style, so that's all I got. Then after this one is just the yeah, there it is, upside down. Looks good from here. All right, so I think I'm gonna call it. Sun's starting to head down. I want to make sure I get back. I got to go back and start bagging up those damn, I got to start bagging up those 4-inch paddle tails. After I see what happens out here. Big old mullet school fleshed out to the channel. I think it's a big barracuda that's chasing these all around. I've seen it jump once, but the tarpon will hit later. But anyway, so I'm gonna head home, bag up a bunch of those 4-inch silver and gold, so they should be on the website probably by the time you watch this video, which I'll post tomorrow. I'm gonna play with these 9-inch paddle tails. I think for this one in particular, I'm very happy the threaded hook is staying tight. I've thrown it about 20 times and it hasn't started pulling at all. So that part will work. I just need to get some ballast along the bottom so that it tracks top side top, bottom side bottom. I'm thinking what I'm gonna do is go to Home Depot, get a big nail, heavy thick nail, even if I have to cut a real long big one, cut it in half, insert it in there as straight as I can, push it in a bit, and then just seal the entryway with some latex. Make it hopefully waterproof so there's not rust everywhere. And that'll hopefully get me swimming the right way up. But otherwise, I am probably going to try to stick with the hook protruding from the front with the corkscrew keeper there as my primary, and maybe do a couple of these as a secondary and keep working on it, just depending on how that ballast works out. So anyways, that's the plan. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next video. Bye. Stuff is moving. Whoa!